Magandang gabi. Ito ang ikalawang parte ng koolNews special coverage sa confirmation of charges hearing ni dati Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte sa International Criminal Court Pretrial Chamber 1. Ako si Midori Tachibana at kasama nyo ang buong pwersa ng koolNews sa pagtutok sa mga pinakauling ulat mula sa ICC. Simulcast tayo ngayon sa 89.5 Manila SDR, 96.7 SF Radio at sa official Twitch at YouTube channels ng koolFM. Kasama ko pa rin ang ating panel upang siyasatin ng mga kaganapan sa Pretrial Chamber 1 sa pagtatapos ng closing statements ng prosecution at ng legal representatives ng mga biktima. Anima is back sa ating panel tonight.
Yes.
Just how impactful yung mga sinabi ng prosecution kanina. Actually, they rebutted statements kanina from the defense. And what exactly did they rebut? Bakit nila nirebut yun?
How to explain this, Mido? Because to be honest, majority of what Kaufman said, majority were debunked by the prosecution. Since we all know that Kaufman is is saying things in circles, saying his defense in circles. In that case, that war on drugs is an act of self-defense against a poor. Sorry, excuse me. I'm sorry, oh, wait lang, excuse me. Hello? Am I still active?
Yes, you are being heard right now.
Yeah, saglit lang na nag-glitch yung computer ko, my bad. Sorry. Anyways, going back. What I was saying is that meron ding mga butas yung defense ni Kaufman, since we do know that according to Attorney Butuyan, I can remember correctly, that indeed Duterte really commanded the police/military in this case to conduct these tokhang operations to neutralize these targets that he was saying, but at the cost of innocent lives, it went reckless. So those in the lower class, for example, they were left to defend for themselves and they had no weapons with them, while Kaufman claimed that Kaufman claimed the narrative of the traditional nanlaban accusation that the war on drug victims indeed fought back, which was an act of self-defense. So overall, as we've noticed, Mido, honestly, the narrative is repetitive, it's redundant, which makes it easy for the prosecution team of the war on drugs to distinguish and rebut Kaufman's claims or accusations.
Thank you, Anema, sa iyong analysis. Kasi I'm kind of iffy doon sa mga sinasabi din ni Kaufman about the validity of these claims. And I heard, I think it was Attorney Andres, na ang dami niyang nirebat doon sa mga sinabi ng depensa, namely yung, I believe yung tungkol sa mga biktima ng war on drugs, na hindi daw sila parang gina-justify ng defense yung pagpatay doon sa mga biktima ng extrajudicial killings. But is it enough?
No, it's not enough. Mido, I've had debates with DDS followers, and what they have in common with Kaufman, they have the same narrative. They do justify the extrajudicial killings because they believe that the war on drugs victims were indeed suspects, when in fact they were killed without due process. Simple as that. Because Duterte, during his term, did command the police and military to conduct tokhang operations, anti-drug operations in that case, but at what cost? Those targets that he referred to, not all, according to the data that we saw from the ICC, not all drug lords were caught. Majority of those killed were those from the lower class, those who were exploited and taken advantage of by the administration. And secondly, considering that extrajudicial killings mean that you killed someone without due process, it means that it is indeed a crime against humanity. Let's say, for example, like what I said earlier, with the war on drugs being a socioeconomic problem, these people, those who are unemployed, for example, those who are unemployed, deprived of the right to live, deprived of their freedom to express their rights, those have been robbed from them with a single bullet. It ended with just a single bullet, and not only that, it included children as well. War on drugs is never justifiable if there is no justice, if there is no social justice to come along with it. The end does not justify the means, simply put.
Thank you. Thank you, Anima. I don't know if you guys can hear me clear or loud and clear.
Loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to check din if naririnig niyo ba ako kasi itong next question ko is about the prosecution's closing statement that happened earlier during the second session kasi sabi niya, I believe this was Attorney Edward Jeremy saying this, but may sinabi siya na hindi naman mapupunta dito kung hindi pinaninindigan ni Duterte yung kanyang mga sinasabi. Sabi niya, a man keeps his word. Duterte is a man of his word. So, only by that measurement, how is it going to impact yung just how the entire presentation of both the prosecution and the legal representatives as like one big team to present in this case.
Nido, so regarding that Duterte, if Duterte really is a man of his word, I want to share with you this in my perspective because I'm in the mental health field. If Duterte was a man of his word, to be honest, he would have followed RA 11036, which is the mental health law. He signed that, which was authored by Senator Risa Hontiveros. The goal of the mental health law is to prohibit any discrimination towards anyone with mental health disorders or any diagnosis. That includes those drug addicts because some of them do have symptoms of those substance-induced disorders. But it does not necessarily imply that they are indeed criminals because every drug varies in the modifications of behavior. For example, sedatives slow down the brain, but it does not necessarily lead to violent behavior. Why? Because it slows down the brain, it causes you to sleep, just like sleeping pills. Methamphetamine, on the other hand, which is shabu, is a stimulant. Why? It boosts the brain's awareness, but consequently it does physiologically it boosts the dopamine in the brain, but consequently it may cause erratic behavior if, of course, drug overdose happens. In that case, scientifically, not all drugs cause violence. If Duterte was a man of his word, he would have he would have stuck to RA 11036, consulted us mental health professionals, and most importantly, not rely on the police to solve the anti-drug operations for him in that case. And to relate to that with the ICC, if Duterte is a man of his word, no. As we can see, he's contradicting himself with the footages of him during his term, especially post his term in that case. I mean, he even dared the ICC to go after him, and look where he is now. A decade later in that case. After he mocked the ICC, now he's with the ICC. So,
I mean,
I would say,
Go.
I would say the tables have turned for him. He got what he wished for.
I'm asking because they stated kanina na Duterte is a man of his word. He's repeatedly affirmed that in the statement. So it's the question, like, parang paano yung impact nung mga salita niya and the defense cannot even present similar speeches that would probably help the defense to strengthen their case.
One example of that is, di ba yung nabanggit ko, yung hearsay ni yung mga proof ni Kaufman. If he really could prove that Duterte is a man of his word, he would have showed speeches of Duterte saying those to prove or perhaps counter the evidences the ICC has against Duterte. And most importantly, like I said, you need substantial evidence. Throughout the days that followed, all I see are substantial evidences from ICC and not one from Kaufman himself. So, since we are nearly wrapping up this confirmation of charges, I would say it is a wrap at this point. We've seen enough, we've heard enough, and I believe we know what is the truth and what is debunked.
Because the defense hasn't said something substantial, paano naman ang magiging impact nung mga sinabi ni Kaufman doon sa mga magiging desisyon ng ICC regarding these 3 counts, or if all 3 counts are going to the trial chamber?
Kaufman's statements, to be honest, I don't think it's gonna have a significant impact with the ICC statements regarding President Duterte's war on drugs and crimes against humanity. Because from what I've noticed from this narrative is that it's repetitive, it's redundant, like I said before. They keep justifying that a war on drugs was a legal approach and it's needed to defend the people. But instead, it took a lot of human lives. So, to conclude, I don't think Kaufman's evidence will be enough to convince the ICC to reverse the case.
Because I'm presuming in order for the defense to actually prove that Duterte is not guilty, they need to have evidence na okay, hindi nga to ginawa ni Duterte nung kanyang administrasyon. Just anything to prove that the statements were indeed made as an act of self-defense. So what is going to happen now if they keep on doubling down doon sa self-defense narrative?
I don't think it's going to change anything, Mido. The more that they repeat it, the more It's not going to convince the ICC to reverse the case, like I said before. And at the same time, I would, if I were the defense of Duterte, I would have added more evidences that he's not, that the war on drugs was indeed justifiable, but they keep doing it by only centering it on the narrative that the war on drugs was in the form of self-defense and to protect the others who were affected by these criminals, aka the drug addicts or criminals. But in this case, they only approached it with a one-sided perspective, and that is their belief that the war on drugs is an act of self-defense. That is all that they can explain.
Is it a viable call? I mean, is it a viable reason to prove na,
It's
okay,
not enough.
mm,
For me, it's not enough, to be honest. I may share the same sentiments with the ICC judges as well. Because the ICC had a lot of details compared to Duterte's panel, or Kaufman in that case, as you can see. The ICC had multiple evidences starting from Duterte's mayoral terms up to his presidency. But on the other hand, you have the panel only focusing on the reason why the war on drugs was implemented, which is honestly for me vague in general. You may ask your question, Mito, if you have any.
are these big statements going, are these vague questions, I mean, the statement, the way presented it, was it enough to convince the judge to overthrow the case?
Vague statements are vague statements, and if you don't have an evidence that's in depth, it will not change the rule of the ICC. It will not change the decision of the ICC regarding Rodrigo Duterte's case, because you're talking legal matters here, Mito. You need substantial evidence, like I said, and if you have insufficient evidence, it will not change the narrative. The judges will stick to the most compelling and the most crucial evidence. And Kaufman, what he presented were mostly general statistics. But what I would have wanted to see from Kaufman is that behind the scenes, behind those statistics, where were the evidences that drug lords were indeed arrested? I wanted to see photos of it to prove those statistics. Otherwise, in this case, because he had no photos to prove, I don't think that it would be legitimate, but rather hypothetical. And secondly, what he only highlighted were the victims, the war on drugs victims arrested, which resulted to him getting redacted multiple times in that case earlier. So any vague statement, to conclude, may not make any sense unless they could have pulled up clear evidence that would back up their statements. But in this case, I don't think it's gonna go anywhere.
You mentioned the redactions, which we were counting, by the way, as the coverage went on kanina, part 1 and on part 1 and now, like, okay, say na hindi ni-redact or may dagdag na evidence, is it strong enough? Is it viable enough for the judges to overthrow that case? And what exactly did they need to do better with regards to their defense?
What they need to do better, Mido, for me, is to provide accurate qualitative data, especially from the experiences of the war on drugs victims. Let's not limit down to just one perspective. What they're doing is only focusing on one perspective, like I said before. If you only have one perspective, it does not underlie those other perspectives the ICC had. They had different victims speaking for themselves, and that's what they used against the defense team. and the defense team only had one narrative, and that's to justify the war on drugs. So in this case, I believe that this won't change anything, and the verdict here, I believe, won't be affected or won't be swayed by the defense team of Duterte.
And when you think about it, may 2 buwan pa mula sa pag-decide whether this goes to trial or not. And how important are those 60 days dito sa pagde-decide kung itong mga judges ba to ay magsaside with the prosecution with regards to going to trial, or is it going to be overthrown? Is Duterte going to leave the ICC?
Okay, Mido. So we do know that the ICC has 60 days to figure this out, to determine whether if Duterte should be convicted or not. 60 days, and considering that one of those judges did say that this is only a fraction. This is only a fraction of the evidences they have, which indicates that there's more than just what we just know from the ICC. If this is a fraction, such as the co-perpetrators Bato and Bongo mentioned, for example, what more for the other connections? We're basically at the tip of the iceberg. We have been at the tip of the iceberg from day one, literally at the absolute summit, and now we're slowly going down to like the mid-level of the iceberg. That's where we're at right now, and I believe that the ICC will still dig deeper even after this trial to determine whether these evidences that the ICC judges have are indeed sufficient and substantial compared to the defense team. And I believe 60 days is enough to determine whether Duterte is indeed guilty or not.
Pero kasi ang problema dito is there's a possibility na may influence yung judges na mag-side doon sa depensa because of what they're gonna see. Are they like, do they have like restrictions in place for example, for not seeing social media, yung hindi pag-entertain sa mga nasa labas ng Hague? What exactly are is there any restrictions in place for like these to not be influenced by any of what's happening outside the pre-trial chamber?
Any external variables, Mido, I believe may affect the decision making of the ICC. Let's say, for example, the DDS followers cheering for Duterte outside the Hague, and secondly, those DDS followers, especially on social media, it may affect the verdict of the ICC. But as we can see, they are really aggressive, and they want to bring him home, as they said. So if they keep that up, to be honest, if they keep that up, I believe it will convince the ICC to either stick to the evidences they have versus the defense teams. But otherwise, if let's say the DDS followers changed their approach, and so did the trolls, and so did those followers on social media, they changed their practices and culture to something, let's say, compassionate, scientific based, and most importantly, morally just. It may change the verdict of the ICC, but in that case, that would be a utopian hypothesis, as if we think about it, Mido. It's unlikely for the followers to change their mind unless they choose to, which would change the trajectory of the ICC's decision.
And I mean, natanong ko na yata to kanina, pero kasi parang parang sabi ay hindi lang naman tayo yung hindi lang naman si Duterte yung nalilitis ngayon, kundi yung moralidad natin bilang Pilipina. I believe I asked this yesterday. So if you see like the perspectives of the victims and the perspective of those in the prosecution team versus the defense, it's what is going, how are they going to influence yung judges sa verdict na mangyayari, and it be enough to proceed to trial.
This would be the, if I would clarify, Mido, this would be the, how do you call this? The approaches of Duterte's followers, if I remember correctly.
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, okay. So if Duterte's followers want to change the narrative, to be honest, they have to do the opposite of what they're doing in that case. If they really want to challenge the ICC's evidences, they have to give actual proof that the war on drugs was indeed an effective one, without tarnishing one's reputation and without threatening anyone in the ICC or any of the war on drugs victims, if there is a given chance. But considering that they won't stop doing this, it may look bleak, it may look blurred for them to turn things around, because the ICC will stick to the principles, and at the same time, as we've noticed, the reactions of we've noticed how the world reacted to Duterte's trial as we are witnessing it before our very eyes. It's already framing our country, unfortunately, as a God-fearing country, but with people who normalize killings without just cause or without a due process. That unfortunately frames us as hypocrites in that sense. And what I mean by that is that as Christians, we are tasked to value social justice. But what is the cost of social justice if innocent lives were never spared? If innocent lives were never given the chance to speak for themselves before bullets were struck to them. That's something to reflect on us Filipinos, Mito.
For that, I want back statements na ginawa ng mga legal representatives, kasi sinabi ni Gilbert Andres, sabi niya na we want to emphasize that there were indeed children murdered systematically under the charges that are being held against Mr. Duterte, Your Honor, and they are not mere collateral damage. Kasi I believe this was the defense saying yesterday na collateral damage daw ang mga nangyaring pagpatay sa mga bata, sa mga vulnerable communities noong panahon ng war on drugs, and just how damaging is that? How damaging is this undermining of the horrific scenes na nangyari noong kasagsagan ng war on drugs?
Can you repeat me, Do?
So kasi sabi niya, we want to, sabi ni Gilbert Andres, the attorney Gilbert Andres, who is part of the victim representative delegation, sabi niya, we want to emphasize that there were indeed children murdered systematically under the charges that are being held against Mr. Duterte, Your Honor, and they are not merely collateral damage. I want to emphasize the last three words dahil sinabi ito ng depensa noong presentation of merits nila kahapon about the fact na hindi wala daw namatay, collateral damage daw, but I want to ask, just how damaging is that, is the fact of undermining the the damages na nangyari, the horrific scenes of what happened during these war on drugs.
Vito, the moment that they mentioned collateral damage, it honestly implies that the ICC's evidences were indeed true, because collateral damage, as I've searched, refers to unintentional deaths, injuries, or destruction of property affecting non-combatants, civilians, or civilian infrastructure during military operations or conflict, which is exactly what happened during the War on Drugs campaign. Civilians were killed during the process, unarmed civilians in that case. And I don't think that's going to change anything with the ICC's jurisdiction, because when you have innocent lives in the count, it is indeed a crime against humanity. And with crimes against humanity, unfortunately, children are in the death count. Even Amnesty International got it on record. 12 children were also involved, but I believe not just 12 children, maybe 100 of them. As so we know, according to the statistics. Just because the war on drugs is a war on against those targets Duterte mentioned, doesn't mean that civilians will be totally safe. If that was collateral damage, then if they mentioned collateral damage, it means that they disregarded human life in the process as well. There should have been due process and also control in the regulation of the law enforcement operation in hunting down suspects who are dealing drugs in that case. Collateral damage in this case still violated human rights and human life.
And with that statement, I believe Duterte said then as well, this was presented, I believe, by the prosecution in a speech. Duterte said na screw human rights, I will protect you, something along these lines. So were human rights protected, or is he protecting or deliberately covering up yung mga nangyayari sa Pilipinas noong kasagsagan ng administrasyon niya, and how is that going to help the ICC's decision?
If Duterte supported human rights and human lives, he would have valued social justice, such as the following of the due process according to the Constitution. The right to live, to be specific in that case. That should have been taken into consideration, which Duterte robbed those victims of the chance to speak for themselves. And to keep it short and simple, if Duterte valued human rights, as we can see, it's contradictory. It's contradictory to his actions. The war on drugs itself is inhumane. It's a crime against humanity, and if it's a crime against humanity, it means he has no regard for human life. Dito.
Thank you, Anema. At magbabalik muna ang Duterte sa ICC, the koolNews special coverage ng confirmation of charges ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte matapos ang ilang paalala.
Make your sauce tastier with O-Spend mayonnaise. Mix, dip, and eat. Sarap. Make your meals deliciously neat with O-Spend mayonnaise.
Pagdating sa kalusugan ng pamilya, kailangan safe. Ang toyong dapat niyong suriin, dapat pasado sa Food Safety Standards Evaluation, kasama ang level ng 3-MCPD. Ang DM soy sauce, pasado yan. Safe gamitin, safe sa inyong pamilya. DM soy sauce, ito ay safe.
Venice Maple Syrup. Para paglalagay ng pancakes at waffles sa mas matamis. Sarap.
Presyo sa 300 pesos lang. Magbibili sa lahat ng supermarket, mga grocery stores, department stores at sa lahat ng mga inyong tindahan.
Bilang isang journo at isang host ng sarili kong programa, hindi talaga biro ang trabaho. At kapag pagod, sisigla pa rin ako with Mirali's Cola Grape. Mirali's Cola Grape with iron taurine beef ay tasigla ang araw ko. Tasigla ang araw with Mirali's Cola.
PDM. Pagkagising sa umagang mangon at kumain ng sapat, gatas ang kailangan para lumusog ang katawan, pero may solusyon dyan. Ito ang MSI Gatas. Puno ng MSI Gatas.
Ada Morella po, mag-MSA Gatas para iinumin ang gatas. Sarap. Mag-MSA Gatas na. 69 na piso SRP sa suking din.
The use of milk supplements must only be upon the advice of a health professional.
We have surveyed around 100 people whether they like singing outdoors or indoors. Here's TrueMade.
Hi, I am here to survey you whether you like to sing indoors or outdoors.
I would like to sing outdoors.
I'm probably outdoors.
I like to sing indoors.
Outdoors. Not sure though.
Indoors, I guess.
Around a day or so, TrueMade has the results.
87% of majority of the people like to sing outdoors. So in XGSP, we built the ultimate system for you. The new Hydra series.
Android system, built-in karaoke app, LED light, 45,000 songs with a built-in LCD TV included. Portable system on wheels. If it's portable, it's Hydra 2 and Hydra XL2.
When it comes to portability, choose Hydra.
Only at Shanitron Sidla. Reimagine karaoke with XESP.
Masaya no? Pero don't worry mga lods, check lang itong Pinet Antivirus. G para sa secure na browsing. G para sa secure na computer. At G para sa secure na Pilipinas.
Download and install Peanut Antivirus now.
Hay naku, nakaka-stress talaga ang traffic. Pagdating ko sa bahay, napahiga na lang ako sa sopa. Yun tuloy, sumakit na ang ulo ko. Reset.
Headache? May solusyon dyan. Introducing PD Pharma Paracetamol Anti-Fever Capsule. Bukod sa lagnat, panlaban rin yan sa sakit ng ulo. May bisa ng paracetamol para balik sigla ka na mula umaga hanggang gabi.
Ayos na ng pakiramdam ko ah. Salamat sa PD Pharma Paracetamol.
Basta para hanapin ang nakatatak. PD Pharma.
Achoo! 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 Achoo!
I love to drink my Mysakin. We love to drink my Mysakin. If you wanna get that good, drink Mysakin.
Mira drinking water. Fresh, cool, calm.
Uminom ka ng tinted cola sa isang malakas na lasa para masigla ang araw mo. Try na? Sarap di ba? Available din sa mga bayan na walang sugar at 500 ml at 1 litro ng bote. Tinted cola, refresh your life.
at nagang koolNews cover ng Duterte CC ang mission of charge ni Rodrigo Duterte. Ito ang Duterte sa ICC. Sorry about the blunder, but I hope you hear me fine now. was going to ask Anima about this, but he will be back for a later. He will be back later. Kasi this was so I'm just going to recap some highlights from the prosecution and the common legal representative ng mga biktima dito sa ICC, kasi sabi ni Julian Nichols kanina, parang paano ba? He's trying to persuade the court na yung neutralized daw ay hindi siya masamang, hindi siya titingnan in a negative connotation, na hindi daw para pumatay ng tao. Yun daw ang pinapahiwatig ng neutralized. Pero yung kanyang statement ni Kaufman na sinasite niya yung police chief na si Bato de la Rosa, sabi niya, yung neutralized daw is a neutral term that shouldn't be taken as showing any criminal intent. Pero may mga witnesses ang prosecution that proved na yung neutralization is to kill. Yung neutralization na sinasabi ito ni Julian Nichols, according to De La Rosa's words, is to kill. So, what can be inferred from here is that it is still something that is a rhetoric to kill people regards to war on drugs. And anak kanina, if Duterte wasn't a violator of human rights, like he would have rehabilitated these people. We need to have more facilities that center on substance abuse, and substance abuse is a mental health disorder. As Anima said, these past few days na mahirap ang any type of mental illness, and especially those that concentrate on drug addiction. But substance abuse is a mental illness. And another what Nichols said, ito yung isa sa mga sinabi niya kanina doon sa closing statement niya. And this is just so poignant. Kasi sabi niya, he must answer for the dead. The victims demand it. Justice demands it. And for purposes of confirmation, the evidence demands it. We have proven it to the level for this to be bound over for trial. And just like the last, the first few words, he must answer for the dead. Just when you hear that word, naiisip mo, okay, may mga namatay, needs to answer for the kin of those who died during the drug war. Bakit niya kailangang sumagot para sa mga namatay? It's to give them justice. It's to give them dignity na finally these victims can rest in peace dahil yung gumawa nito sa kanila. And yes, Duterte may be an indirect perpetrator, but he's still a perpetrator. Yan nga yung sinusubukan ngayon, na yan yung sinasabi ng prosecution na pinaka-sentro ng statement ng kanilang closing statement na si Duterte ay di umano indirect perpetrator, but it still puts him as basically the main perpetrator of said crimes against humanity. We still have 3 counts of case to decide on. This out, I feel 27 or 28, we are going to hear whether any of these charges will be viable for the trial chamber para matry na, para malitis na kung si Duterte at if possible, he's along with his co-perpetrators, if maaresto sila ng ICC, would be viable and would be helping the ICC convict these co-perpetrators, whether prison or death penalty, we don't know yet, and do not have any feed. The stream will be in about 30 minutes, 35 minutes. For now, ay break muna kami. Magbabalik ang confirmation of charges hearing ni dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. Ito ang Duterte sa ICC.
Ay naku, kakapagod mag-drive. Kailangan ko ng mainom.
Uhaw baka mo?
Who's that voice?
O ito, Miralles Cola Orange.
Teka, ito ba'y may iron, taurine, at B vitamins?
Correct! Try mo!
Oh wow, it's refreshing. Thanks, Billy.
Pwede mo rin yan araw-arawin 6 Para mas masigla ang araw, mag-Miralles Cola na!
15 pesos na lang. Bili
Bili na! Miralles Cola!
Kahit saan, sisig ng ina mo. Lunod ka sa saya, mula sa Pampagana hanggang sa dulo.
Ang sisig na hinahanap-hanap mo ay nasa sisig ng ina mo na. For just 70 pesos, may legit na kapampangan na sisig ka na with soft drinks and sabaw. Dito lang yan sa sisig ng ina mo.
Pagkagising sa umagang mangon at kumain ng sapat, gatas ang kailangan para lumusog ang katawan, pero may solusyon dyan. Ito ang MSI Gatas. Uminom ng MSI Gatas.
Ada Moreller po, mag-MSA Gatas para iinumin ang gatas. Sarap. Mag-MSA Gatas na. 69 na piso SRP sa suking tindahan.
The use of milk supplements must only be upon the advice of a health professional.
I'm an all-around media personality. Of course, I read books. Because not only knowledge, but they're also a form of entertainment. What you're seeing right now are few of the best-selling brands of GSCA Kent Media. At iilan pa yan, marami pa yan ha. Basta, hanapin nyo lang ang logo na to. The Philippines' leading premier #1 awesome publisher GSCA Kent Media. Because reading is indispensable.
Every sunrise brings a new story, and every story begins with a single journey. At Zakish Airlines, we believe travel isn't just about reaching your destination. It's about the experience that carries you there. From comfort that feels like home, to service that feels like family, we make sure your moments in the sky are unforgettable. Because when you fly with us, the world is closer than you think. Zakish Airlines, your world within reach.
Mira drinking water. Fresh, cool, calm.
Wala kaming commercial. Pwera na lang sa commercial nito, oo naman. Pero, meron ba kaming bagong produkto? Meron ba kaming iaalok sa inyo? Meron ba kaming kinuhang artista o sikat na personalidad para i-endorse kung anong mang inaalok namin? Siyempre, ang sagot niyan, wala. Literal na wala. Wala kami niyan, Chong.
Pagkagising sa umagang umangon at kumain ng sapat, gatas ang kailangan para lumusog ang katawan, pero may solusyon dyan. Ito ang MSI Gatas. Puno ng MSI Gatas.
Ada Morela po, mag-MSA Gatas para iinumin ang gatas. Sarap. Mag-MSA Gatas na. 69 na piso SRP sa suking tindahan.
The use of milk supplements must only be upon the advice of a health professional.
Innova Power G6. Fast, sleek, reliable, affordable. Now equipped with Ryzen 7000 series CPU, Radeon RX 7000 series, 1TB SSD storage, and 32GB RAM. Enough to fulfill your needs.
Innova.
Shopee, dua-dua, Memsel, ada Memsel di Shopee, dua-dua, Shopee, dua-dua, Memsel, ada Memsel di Shopee, dua-dua, di Shopee, dua-dua, ada Memsel di Shopee, dua-dua, ada Memsel di Shopee, dua-dua, ada Memsel di Shopee, dua-dua, Memsel.
Antukin pa rin ako tuwing umaga. Napakahirap talagang gumising at yun, late ako parati sa programa. Kapag maganda ang gising ko, sisigla pa rin ako sa tulong ng Tengu Coffee Drink. Ito ay may tamang tapang ng kape na may asukal at creamer. 3-in-1 sa tapang at sarap. Ang tapang, ang sarap. Try nyo. Basta may Tengu, gigising ka.
PDM Canyon Choco Biscuit. With extra chocolate and extra creamer in one, will give a delicious chocolate taste. You'll want to try it again.
Canyon Choco Biscuit. Feel the Choco vibes.
No? Pero don't worry mga lods, let's try itong Peanut Antivirus. G para sa secure na browsing. G para sa secure na computer. At G para sa secure na Pilipinas.
Download and install Peanut Antivirus now.
Dito na tayo sa JA. Kung saan lahat ay okay. Sa JA. Lahat dito ay super mura. Lahat mga maganda dito sa JA. Sa JA, napatunayan na ng bayan. Wala namang iba. Quality shopping ang aming dala. Mapapa-JA talaga kayo. Ang supermarket namin ay JA.
Sa panahon ngayon, dapat maging mapanuri. Ang safe na toyo ay pasado sa food safety standards. Evacuation kasama ang level ng 3MCPD. Ang DM soy sauce, pasado. Safe gamitin, safe ang inyong pamilya. Magbabakasakali ka pa ba? DM soy sauce, ito ay safe.
Pagkagising sa umagang umangon at kumain ng sapat, gatas ang kailangan para lumusog ang katawan, pero may solusyon dyan. Ito ang MSI Gatas. Puno ng MSI Gatas.
Ada Morella po, mag-MSA gatas para iinumin ang gatas. MSA gatas na. 69 na piso SRP sa suking tindahan.
The use of milk supplements must only be upon the advice of a health professional.
Ang boring dito. Hanap na lang kaya ako ng maiinom.
Ang refreshing!
Refresh your day. Feel alive with Chaos Cola. Also available, Chaos Soda.
Woo! 25 pesos lang. Sulit. Bin na.
Hay naku, nakaka-stress talaga ang traffic. Pagdating ko sa bahay, napahiga na lang ako sa sopa. Yun tuloy, sumakit na ang ulo ko. Reset.
Headache? May solusyon dyan. Introducing PD Pharma Paracetamol Anti-Fever Capsule. Bukod sa lagnat, panlaban rin yan sa sakit ng ulo. May bisa ng paracetamol para balik sigla ka na mula umaga hanggang gabi.
Ayos na ng pakiramdam ko ah. Salamat sa PD Pharma Paracetamol.
Basta paracetamol, hanapin ang nakatatak. PD Pharma.
Kung ikaw ay nagtataka, ito ay isang napakasarap na adobo. Pero bakit napakabango? Ang sikreto ni Mommy ay ospentoyo. Ito ay fermented, gawain ito sa pinakamahusay na kalidad ng soybeans mula sa sakahan, sobrang sarap, sobrang dekalidad, at syempre, safe gamitin ayon sa Food and Drug Administration. Para sa iyong pamilya, pipiliin ng lahat ang pinakand. Ospentoyo, sulit sarap!
Mabango ang hair. Hindi lang ang hair, smooth pa rin. Thanks to Ospen Shampoo with 100% natural coconut cream. May long-lasting bango, kaya di lang mabango, bango smooth pa.
Pagkagising sa umagang mangon at kumain ng sapat, gatas ang kailangan para lumusog ang katawan, pero may solusyon dyan. Ito ang MSI gatas. Uminom ng MSI gatas.
Ada Morella po, mag-MSA gatas para iinumin ang gatas. Sarap. Mag-MSA gatas na. 69 na piso SRP sa suking tindahan.
The use of milk supplements must only be upon the advice of a health professional.
Hey Joe! Hey Joe! Hey Joe! Hey Joe!
Mysakit. I love to drink my Mysakit. We love to drink my Mysakit. If you wanna get that good, drink Mysakit.
Shopee, dua-dua, Memsel, ada Memsel di Shopee, dua-dua, Shopee, dua-dua, Memsel, ada Memsel di Shopee, dua-dua, di Shopee, dua-dua, ada Memsel di Shopee, dua-dua, ada Memsel di Shopee, dua-dua, ada Memsel di Shopee, Memsel.
Innova Power G6, fast, sleek, reliable, affordable. Now equipped with Ryzen 7000 series CPU, Radeon RX 7000 series, 1TB SSD storage, and 32GB RAM. Enough to fulfill your needs.
Innova.
Make your sauce tastier with O-Spend mayonnaise. Mix, dip, and eat. Sarap. Make your meals deliciously neat with O-Spend mayonnaise.
Di biro ang maging newscaster at president and CEO. Dati, sa office inaantok pa ako at napapagod. Buti sa tulong ng Lion Energy Drink, lumakas pa ako. Bukod sa taurine, vitamin B complex at ginseng, ay meron ring vitamin C para lumakas ang immune system. Kaya ako'y matibay at masigla ang aking trabaho. Lakas ka with Lion Energy Drink. From Godwin Enterprise.
Mahalagang paalala, ang Lion Energy Drink ay hindi gamot at hindi maaaring gamitin panggamot sa anumang uri ng sakit.
Dito na tayo sa Joy A, kung saan lahat ay okay. Sa Joy A, Lahat ito ay super mura. Lahat mga ganito sa JA. Sa JA, napatunayan na ng bayan. Wala namang iba. Quality shopping ang aming dala. Mapapajoy talaga kayo. Ang supermarket namin ay JA.
Kahit saan, sisig ng ina mo. Lunod ka sa saya, mula sa pampagana hanggang sa dulo.
Ang sisig na hinahanap-hanap mo ay nasa sisig ng ina mo na. For just 70 pesos, may legit na kapamka na with soft drinks and sabaw. Dito lang yan sa sisig ng ina mo.
We have surveyed around 100 people whether they like singing outdoors or indoors. Here's Trume.
Hi, I am here to survey you whether you like to sing indoors or outdoors.
I would like to sing outdoors.
I'm probably outdoors.
I like to sing indoors.
Outdoors. Not sure though.
Indoors, I guess.
Around a day or so, Truman has the results.
87% of majority of the people like to sing outdoors. So in XGSP, we built the ultimate system for you. The new Hydra series.
Android system, built-in karaoke app, LED light 45,000 songs with a built-in LCD TV included. Portable system on wheels. If it's portable, it's Hydra 2 and Hydra XL2.
When it comes to portability, choose Hydra.
Only at Shanitron Synthline. Reimagine karaoke with XESP.
Pagkagising sa umaga, umangon at kumain ng sapat. Gatas ang kailangan para lumusog ang katawan, pero may solusyon dyan. Ito ang MSI Gatas. Uminom ng MSI Gatas.
Ada Morella po, mag-MSA Gatas para iinumin ang gatas. Sarap. Mag-MSA Gatas na. 69 na piso SRP sa suking tindahan.
The use of milk supplements must only be upon the advice of a health professional.
Paano manood ng GSCA TV? Pindutin ang power button sa inyong remote. Pindutin ang menu at piliin ang channel list. Hanapin ang GSCA TV gamit ang up and down buttons. Pag nahanap na, press OK and enjoy watching.
Ay, haba ng ad break. Hello guys, welcome back.
Hello? Okay, habang wala pa si Mido, welcome back sa ating special coverage ng last day ng Duterte sa ICC, the koolNews special coverage. Ako po si Lautay Gaming. Hanggang ngayon po ay si Mido po ay kasalukuyang nilalabanan ng kanyang internet. At yung nangyari kanina sa confirmation of charges hearing, as usual, ang dami na namang pinalabanan si Nicholas Kaufman. Wait lang, nawala na si Mido. Ayan. Andiyan ka na ba? Mido? Are you here? Nawala po si Mido.
Mukhang di pa kaya yun.
Mido?
Mido, you there?
Sound check, sound check. Hello.
Ayan, ayun.
Ayan. Thank you, LTG. Thank you sa pagsalba. Ayan, nagbabalik na po ang confirmation of ang special coverage ng confirmation of charges hearing kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte, and I apologize for that blunder. Sana naintindihan nyo. I have been doing this since Monday. Walang putol ang coverage ng koolNews dahil tuloy-tuloy tayong tuloy-tuloy tayong nakatutok sa mga pinakauling update dito sa Pilipinas at sa iba't ibang bahagi ng mundo. At maraming salamat sa pagsama sa atin dito sa coverage na ito for the past few days. And I don't know if Anima is back. But we will be holding off on our questions for now. Habang hinihintay natin si Anima na bumalik, ito ang ating question for the viewers na nanonood. What do you think of the entire trial from start to finish? Ayan, uulitin natin. Ano ang masasabi nyo sa naging takbo ng trial simula noong opening statements hanggang sa pagsasara nitong trial, at least from the side of the prosecution and the legal representatives of the victims. Ayan. Type nyo lang yan sa ating chat, sa Twitch, at YouTube. I-send sa 76767. Ay, joke lang. 676. De, joke lang, joke.
Mido, nawala ka na ulit. Mido. Again, nilalabanan pa rin po ang signal po ni Mido. Anyways, ang ating question ngayon is, ano ang masasabi natin sa naging takbo ng trial? Okay. Ako na muna magsasabi niyan. For me, sana dahil mabusisi naman yung pagtakbo ng ebidensya, lalo na sa ICC, at kitang-kita ninyo kung gaano kabrutal, kung gaano ka walang puso yung nangyari sa pagpatay or pag-unalive ng mga hindi ko sasabihin kasi EJ case, so di umano mga kaalyado ng dating Pangulong Duterte, and hindi ko sure kung bakit. Ayan, andiyan ka na ba, Mido? Mido, andiyan ka? Okay. Balik tayo. Hindi ko sure kung kung magiging matibay ba yung ebidensya na pinesenta ng mga prosecutor kanina, lalo na sa mga iniain ng mga ICC prosecutors, lalo na sa mga lawyers ng defense counsel ng mga biktima ng Pangulong Duterte. Di umano. So, ang napansin ko lang doon sa mga issue. Mapansin ko lang sa mga issue ng ICC is syempre yung nangyari kay Nicholas Kaufman kanina is yung code of ethics palagi nababali. I don't know why. Baka yun yung nagiging strategy niya. I don't actually know. Pero habang wala pa si Mido, ako muna magsasalita. Anyways, kamusta ang inyong
I wasn't hearing your voice kasi panay nagsasalita ka yata kanina.
Ayan, okay na? Okay ka na?
Nagsasalita ka yata kanina. Hindi,
Yan nawala
nagsasalita
kanina.
ka kanina, hindi ko naririnig.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my apology. Like, parang akala ko ako lang nagsasalita. Parang ako lang nagsasalita. Yun kasi yun.
Okay.
So anyway, you were saying, what were you saying kanina? Sorry, hindi ko talaga narinig. I'm not kidding.
So basically, yung sinabi ko kanina is, ang ganda ng presenta ng, ICC prosecutors, lalo-lalo na yung mga senior trial lawyer, at saka yung, tsaka ramdam mo yung bigat ng kaso kasi actual yan yung pinakita sa tab, trigger warning, pinakita yung mutilated corpse ng isang bata na hindi ko na siyempre papangalanan for obvious reasons. And hindi ko ma-apohap kung bakit nagkaganito yung administrasyon dahil ba quote unquote nangyari to sa Davao, mangyayari to sa buong Pilipinas. Ganun ba yung mangyayari? Ganun ba yung mangyayari na hindi siya, as in hindi siya makatarungan, with my opinion, kung may nadadamay na inosente, hindi umano.
Oo.
Kaya tayo na sa ICC ngayon dahil yun nga, may nangyaring mali. And I hope na maayos to, and I hope na kung ano mangyari, sana makamit na yung hustisya dahil dun sa war on drugs na nangyari sa nakaraang administrasyon. Yun lang. Yun lang, Mido.
Okay. Sound check. Ayan, rinig ko. Medyo yung mic ko. Salamat dyan. LTG, napakasig. Tio, na simula one day ay lalabas na ng ating lower third. So you have him to thank for that. Now that you mentioned yung impeccable presentation of prosecution, I feel like when you see the difference of that and the rather, I would honestly say, empty presentation of the defense, parang, TJ, I want to go back to you. What do you think is being inferred to here by the defense? Like, ano yun, parang nakikiride na lang sila, na i-admit na lang nila na, okay, let's just get this to trial at this point.
For me, ang aking opinion dito is, siguro wala silang makuhang na evidence na mapapatunay na walang ginawang mali yung nakaraang administrasyon. And yung nangyari nga, 'di ba, doon sa war on drugs, as you can see, there's a lot of killings that happened. And sinabi daw na quote unquote pinagtataguan pa ng mga pulisya, quote unquote, yung mga nangyari. And also, can I also say this, na yung mga troll farms, ginagatungan nila yung nila yung parang meron ka pang parang meron ka pang stigma na nangyayari, and then yung discrimination, diba, discrimination ng ay natokhang to, wag tayong ganyan. Like there's a stigma na nangyayari na kapag natokhang ka, ibig sabihin masama kang tao. Or ano, doon ang galing yung pamilya mo sa masama. Which is not true. So, sana yung mga nangyayari sa nakaraang administrasyon, kasi wala silang mahan, di ba? Nakita mo naman na they are just doing ad hominem yung mga lawyer, mga trial lawyer, di ba? They're just doing ad hominem na
Okay.
parang tinatago lang nila kung ano nangyari. Yun lang masasabi ko. That's it.
Yeah.
Mido, diyan ka pa ulit? Nawawala ka, Mido.
Ayan. Okay na? Okay na? Okay
Yeah,
na?
okay na.
Rinig na?
Yeah, okay na.
Ayan, I was
Narinig na.
gonna ask you if yung mga attacks ng DDS trolls is helping the defense's case at all, or does it affirm the prosecution's belief na these troll farms are indeed part of the problem when it comes to when it comes to proving na itong war on drugs ay hindi nga makatarungan?
Wait a minute. Can I ask, sinabi ba sinabi ba yung mga trolls or mga nagpapakalat ng fake news sa ICC hearing?
Yes. The prosecution actually said that, I believe, during the opening statement or during the submission of merits, the first submission of merits. I believe they said it. I believe day 2. They said that on day 2.
Ito lang masasabi ko sa mga quote-unquote DDS na nagpapakalat ng fake news, pwede. Ginagatungan nyo lang yung kaso eh. Kasi parang you have been a part of hiding what's truth. You have been a part of hiding what is actually happening. You have been a part of what is what is the probable cause of the situation. And wala akong masabi sa mga sa mga DDS trolls dahil ang masasabi ko lang dito, bahala sila. Basta't ginagatungan nyo lang yung kaso ninyo, and ito lang masasabi ko kasi 'di ba Filipinos are paano ko ba sabihin in English, pero sige. Mga Pilipino madaling makalimot. Mga Pilipino madaling makalimot, mga Pilipino madaling mauto, madaling magoyo ng ng kahit sino man, na it's either politiko, artista, every single thing. Madali tayong mauto. So, I hope na kung may panahon pa para magising sila sa katotohanan. Yun lang masabi ko.
Pero parang it's such a grueling task to really make them believe yung mga nangyayari sa lipunan. I mean, gayon nga lang, kung iisipin nyo sa ating mga kababayan na ngayon lang po naniwala yung mga yung pamilya ni Duterte na hindi na makakauwi yung kanilang strongman dahil he's set to die inside that chamber. Especially when it goes to trial, there's a possibility that he might die of old age. And kung iisipin nyo, what a sad way to die, kasi you're being tried for crimes against humanity, and it is honestly one of the worst crimes to be ever. I believe it is one of the worst crimes to be ever charged with, dahil you are not committing crime against one person or a group of a small group of people. You're committing crime against a large population of the country, and it's not, hindi lang naman siya 10, 30, hindi naman siya natural disaster na kumikitil sa buhay ng libo-libong tao. It's a deliberate act. It's a deliberate deed na rhetoric na in-employ ni Duterte noong kapanahunan niya sa politika, and ngayon nandyan na siya sa loob ng ICC, and now I believe we are going to see the feed of the ICC in a minute. This will be the third and final session with regards to the confirmation of charges hearing dito sa International Criminal Court Pre-Trial Chamber 1. What are we looking forward? Lalo na sa part ng detention hearing laban dito sa dating Pangulo. What do you think are we looking forward to dito sa last part ng session na ito? Lalo na doon sa detention hearing sa kanya, whether he stays in the ICC or he goes free.
Wait, so this live stream will now sabihin nating verdict na talaga, as in, tama ba?
I believe no, kasi there is 60 days for the confirmation of charges hearing verdict to be heard.
At so paano ano ko yung gagawin nila?
So parang kailangan pa nila ng time to decide with regards to these charges. Kasi tatlo yan. And sabi ni Kuya Pao, I believe yesterday, kahit isa lang sa mga count na yan ang mapunta sa trial is enough for the prosecution, kasi they will have evidences against Duterte dyan sa particular crime na yan. Again, we're gunning for they're gunning for all three, but if even one, which is murder noong siya ay mayor, murder noong siya ay naging presidente, at third yung mga barangay clearance operations na ginawa noong nakaraang administrasyon. Yun yung ano niya. Yun yung sakop niya. As for
nakalagay din sa third session, hearing on the review of detention. What do you mean about how would I like ire-review na ano ibig sabihin dito sa hearing on the review of detention na mangyayari ngayon?
Kasi I'm presuming this to be kasi mag-iisang taon na si Duterte dyan, 'di ba? Mag-iisang taon na si Duterte sa ICC on March 11th, and I believe this is going to determine whether he stays in the ICC or he gets an interim release, meaning he is free to walk outside of the chambers of the ICC. I believe that's what the hearing on the review of detention is going to be about. We'll see what happens mamaya. Ito yung part na hindi rin pupuntahan ni Duterte dito sa trial na ito. Ito yung previously announced noong Wednesday na hindi nga po siya dadalo dito sa hearing na ito.
Dahil it's either lalaya siya or talagang diyan bumubulok talaga siya sa ICC.
Mhm.
Kasi ang dami niyang ano, like ang dami ng nangyari, 'di ba? Like as in doon sa 1 year
Hmm.
of case against
Mhm.
Rodrigo Duterte. So I think this will be like a final, tama ba? A final verdict maybe? Baka makarinig na
Ay,
tayo ng
yes,
final.
yes, yes.
Okay,
I believe that's
speaking
Speaking of the trial, we are now starting the stream. The ICC has started their stream pero hindi pa po naiere ang kaganapan sa loob ng pre-trial chamber 1. So what are we expecting on this hearing dito sa review of detention is whether he's going to walk free or he's staying in the ICC for good. Yan po ang inaabangan natin. Maya-maya lamang dito sa International Criminal Court. Paalala lamang po, ang special coverage na ito ay simulcast sa 96.7 SF Radio, 89.5 Manila SDR at sa official Twitch and YouTube channels ng Cool FM. Ayan, kung
Can I
hindi pa
ask?
po kayo
Okay, can I ask?
na-subscribe. Okay, go.
Ito, paano kung, for example, interim release? Tapos, ano yung nangyari is parang nagtatago na siya, di ba? Nagkaroon ng interim release.
Yes,
And
that's what
then,
that's
yun
what
na nga yung
they're
masasabi
trying.
ko. Bigla na
That's
lang taguyan.
exactly why they need to decide. Kasi if he gets that interim release, he's probably going in hiding as soon as it's gonna happen as soon as he probably walks free. That's what the prosecution is trying to prevent, I believe. Yan yung iniiwasan ng prosecution dahil as we already know, Bato de la Rosa is already in hiding and there's already an arrest warrant against him.
And by the way, ang masaklap pa doon is binabayaran pa rin siya. Am I right?
To stay in the
Hindi,
ICC?
binabayaran pa rin siya na yung sa Senado.
Kumbaga.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes, I believe there is a salary. I believe there's a
Yeah.
salary.
That is so unfortunate.
Pero he's already lost all his membership sa mga Senate committees pero may sweldo pa rin siya as a senator.
Yun na nga. Yun na nga yung mahirap kasi kung napatunayan ka na nga tapos bigla ka na lang magtatago. What if yung mga kasama rin yung mga co-perpetrators di umano ni Rodrigo Duterte will be on the ICC then?
There's a possibility pero the only warrant we know of is that of De La Rosa. Thanks to John Vic Remulla's mouth, unfortunately, and I'm ashamed of that. And I am ashamed of that.
Kaya hanggang ngayon ay no broadcast pa rin ang ICC. Hanggang ngayon
This
nag-aantay pa
might
rin tayo ng
I believe this might be because of Kaufman or wala pa rin talagang
wala
balik ang
talagang feed yan.
judges within the chamber.
Siguro mga 9:40. Maybe ang ang magiging feed kasi I think dahil diba, probably baka makakuha na tayo ng verdict on this confirmation of charges.
Hindi talaga. Hindi talaga, te. Hindi. That is already dito. Nandito na yan sa frequently asked questions na
never mind.
This is in the facts of the case, frequently asked questions. Ito yung wait lang. Hinanap
So, wala
ayan.
talaga.
Ito kasi ay within 60 calendar days after the end of the confirmation of charges hearing, the ICC judges will make a decision on whether or not to confirm all or any of the charges brought against Mr. Duterte by the prosecutor. Yun yung ano. So, matagal-tagal pa ang aantayin natin sa magiging kinalalabasan ng trial na ito.
At saka isa pa. Yung nangyayari kasi 'di ba is of course you can't go on anything dahil 'di ba nga International Criminal Court to. So hanggang ngayon naghihintay pa rin tayo ng feed. And sana kung ano like alam mo yung parang sa dula, 'di ba? Sa dula parang may closing statements ka. Maybe yan yung mangyayari dito. And
well, the defense is going to present theirs, which may be the cause of not having a broadcast this far dahil this might be Kaufman's doing again. We don't know yet.
Kasi kapag
I
si
believe
Kaufman ulit,
I believe it's already starting eh. I believe it's already starting. It's just, you know, Kaufman has slipped up 10 times. We have counted throughout his presentations sa submission of merits at sa kanyang closing. I believe his closing statement is going to have that blunder as well. And it seems like Anima, I want to go to you quick. How do you think the defense is how do you think the defense is intimidating the victims of the war on drugs?
Digital disinformation would be my answer, Mito, considering that I did mention the troll farms earlier. So yes, like I said, obstruction of justice using social media to attempt to alter the decision making of the ICC judges to favor Duterte. That's what they're likely going to do in that case. So whatever they'll try to do, they'll try to even act out of the most desperate measures to bring Duterte back to the Philippines, or what they call bring him home. When in fact I don't think it's going to take some time, but rather it's going to take forever for them to wait.
Kasi na-mention mo na for hello.
Yes.
Sound check. Yan. You mentioned you said for, and we're going about that sa review of detention mamaya pagkatapos ng closing statements ng defense. And why do you think na wala pa ring broadcast as of now? Is it
must be delays.
Is it because of Kaufman screwing up again?
Possible. It's either yeah. Kaufman might have been redacted actually as we speak. But or the ICC needs more time to prepare either way. But I think the most likely cause would be Kaufman being redacted again.
And considering na kakasimula lang ng kanyang closing statements, what is, or I believe they still haven't. I'm just thinking, what the hell is going on sa ICC?
That I do not know honestly, Mido. But one thing is for sure, it's either they're reprimanding Kaufman, or they need more time to prepare for the concluding statements of the prosecution.
Kasalukuyan pa rin po tayong naghihintay ng feed dito ng International Criminal Court, and it seems like it's just not going to start anytime soon because of Kaufman's blunders. It might not happen. It might not happen, or is Judge Julia Motok reprimanding Kaufman? We don't know. But I wonder what is happening inside that court right now.
Maybe,
Ano?
ano lang talaga, maybe there's a possible delay? Maybe
Probably.
there's something that happened
I mean,
in...
if you think about the delay kasi hindi naman plausible dahil there's already a delay between the real-time session and what we're watching because this is delayed by 30 minutes.
Yun na nga. And parang maybe ang nakikita ko dito is probably they are just reviewing anything. Baka may sinabi na naman si Kaufman or something na para dire-diretso na lang yung feed maybe. Kasi ang nakikita ko kasi dito sa nakikita ko dito bakit na kasi of course code of ethic and nasabi niya yung mga dapat hindi dapat nasabi. So hindi ba siya like sinabi ko kahapon to, it can be a possible grounds for disbarment. Like kung kasi 10 oopsie na yung ginawa niya actually. Kung 'di ba lumabag siya sa code of ethics 10 times. It can be like a grounds. Tama ba? It can be like a ground for disbarment kasi sinabi mo yung victims. Sinabi mo 'di ba yung victims names for like 10 times already. Jeez. Bakit
But the difference is this is international law. That's the difference. I believe he practices in Britain, pero it's still international law. Jurisdiction naman ng The
wait
Hague.
lang. Here we go. Flicker na
Okay,
yung feed.
finally.
We can
I believe we're going to see the inside of the chambers and now.
Okay. Time to listen to what the ICC has in store for us.
And it's now time to listen in to the final session.
Good afternoon, everyone, once again. Mr. Kaufman, you have for 30 minutes for your final submissions. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Your Honour. The defence has made its submissions comprehensively and it's said and presented. I am, however, forced to respond just to a couple of the most egregious observations the speeches, we have enough to confirm the charges. And then he celebrated the fact that he had managed to find one, and I stress, just one example of a direct order, so kill, emanating from Mr. Duterte, and that is to be found in Incident 1. So, for the benefit of the record, let me just clarify and repeat what I said. And I refer you to transcript 4, page 65, at line 14 onwards. And I quote, P26, who, redacted, claims that Mr. Duterte telephoned a redacted third party to order the operation and was told it was the mayor on the phone. Hyphen pure hearsay. That's what I said during the hearing. And I stand by my word. But might have caught me out. I went back to the transcript record, and once again, I quote P26's words from the evidence. I asked who called, and the redacted third party said, Superman. And to make things clear, the prosecutor's investigator then asked P26, was the person who took the call? Was it the redacted third party? And the answer he received was yes. So I repeat my submission with even more emphasis. Pure, unadulterated, and undiluted hearsay. What Mr. Nichols boils down to, maybe he boils down to, is a plea that, well, Kaufman's pointed out a few problems. Let's just leave it for the trial judges to sort out. And for that, he's quite happy to let Mr. Duterte fester in detention. In the United States, they call that kicking the can down the road. As for the learned victims representative, I've been restrained up until now. I've paid my respect to the families of those who have lost loved ones, and I repeat that expression of sympathy that I made as my very first statement on behalf of the defense. But I would like to remind that he is not a mini prosecutor, and to regale the pre-trial chamber with unsupported allegations that men lost their lives is utterly inappropriate. His stance and that of his colleague have reflected the media's, namely complete disregard of the evidence, and to be frank, you haven't heard one single cite Massiter sitting next to them. Indeed, the media interest in this case has been intense, but it has followed a familiar theme. Rodrigo Duterte is finally behind us. And as a defense lawyer, I stand for fair trial rights and the presumption of innocence. But what use is that when the whole world has already tried and convicted or make emotional arguments to justify their position? What about the presumption of innocence? Talks about threats emanating people are loans in loving citizens to bloodthirsty disciples, not dozens, not millions, so Mr. Butuyan says. What an insult to the Filipino nation. And Mr. Butuyan concludes by presenting an emotional ultimatum. Confirm or Duterte will be portrayed as the person who vanquished the ICC. Those were his words. These submissions were quite unique for this court, and of course, totally irrelevant for the purpose for which we are gathered here today. And as for the mainstream media, back in the Philippines, the situation is not much better. And I argue it has been at the highest level, relying not on documentation that I have invented, but on documentation given to me by the prosecution as exonerating. They say I'm making a political speech and that my defense lacks substance. And when I devote more time than the prosecution and the victims together to legal arguments and challenging the evidence, they say I'm nitpicking. Well, fortunately, we have this honourable bench which appreciates the presumption of innocence and the need to examine the evidence thoroughly in order to examine whether the prosecution is the required standard. We are fortunate in that we have this to dispassionately and professionally. And we know that this honourable bench, despite our struggling with the various redactions that have considerably reduced our ability to make comprehensive submissions in open session, we know that this bench will assess our arguments faithfully. We have provided a comprehensive analysis of both the law and the charged incidents. We have attacked every one of the restrictions imposed upon us and applied by the prosecution to its charging document and pre-confirmation brief. And these redactions have not just been they have been so sweeping that virtually nothing intelligible remains of the 49 incidents that we have been talking about for the public to read and to understand. Let me just screen you a sample confirmation brief so that the whole world can appreciate it. And the same goes for the redactions applied to the identities and roles of various participants. While I found this unfair and contrary to the spirit of transparency, which is meant to govern the conduct of the proceedings at this institution, I approached my counterpart in the prosecution and complained the nature of his redaction submissions, namely the attack on the evidence substantiating the 78 deaths, to go into closed session. Don't worry, I was told by the learned prosecutor. We're going to release a lesser redacted version of our charging and confirmation brief. Wonderful, I said to myself. But what in due course did we get? A document which released the names of the 8 so-called co-perpetrators and which caused a storm in the Philippines. It even caused the Secretary of the Interior to state that his department had begun tracing the whereabouts of these so-called co-perpetrators. And in its lesser redacted version of the document containing the charges and pre-confirmation brief, the prosecution also released the names of certain high-profile victims which it had selected, thereby enabling it, and it alone, to talk freely in open session about certain incidents that it felt crucial to its case. From this, I submit, Your Honours, you can really appreciate the true inequality of arms facing the defence as it attempts to defend a client in the public eye, I stress in the public eye, at the International Criminal Court. This inequality of arms in the public eye expresses itself in the way the prosecution controls the narrative by arbitrarily lifting redactions so that it can make its narrative of a grand scheme of co-perpetration known to the public court, while the defence can only meaningfully attack the real meat and the substance of the charges, either obliquely or in closed session, including that hotly disputed incident with the CCTV. Well, we around to the relevant places in the evidence, and we do trust you to pick up on the problems without the benefit of our full explanations in open session, even if the remaining part of our plea was rendered rather for you. The general weaknesses that we have identified pervade throughout and are so recurring that the total value of the prosecution's evidentiary matrix drops not just below the substantial grounds threshold that the prosecution must meet, but hits the very rock-hard bottom. And I will summarize these weaknesses once more for the record. Layered hearsay, conjecture, over-reliance on accomplice evidence with offers of virtual immunity at the ICC, contradicting statements between participants in a crime, absolute lack of any linkage whatsoever to Mr. Rodrigo Duterte, and the total lack of support for an alleged crime both in the documentary and forensic record. And regarding these documents, is not There is absolutely no evidence for that. It is an outrageously unsubstantiated accusation which is not alleged, and where the prosecution on it. But what is this? Well, clearly it is not beyond a reasonable doubt required for a conviction at trial. Applied for the issuance introduced by Mr. Butuyan, that boat of his that set sail in order to avoid leaving his victims stranded on an island. Your Honours, this boat is the confirmation process, and its captain is this. We are all passengers in this boat. Wind details are for the prosecution, the incriminating evidence, and the sharks and the rocks in shallow waters are the exonerating evidence, the hearsay, the contradictions, and the accomplice witness. Pointed out to you through our binoculars. Would you board that boat if you knew that there were substantial grounds to believe that the boat would sink if it encountered one of the aforementioned perils? Let me define the test using more strictly legal language. The evidentiary standard applicable, namely substantial, met with respect to incident from paragraph 38 information decision, there exists concrete and tangible proof demonstrating a clear line of reasoning underpinning the allegations. By way of parenthesis, I should state that this quote from the Fanmade confirmation decision recognizes the fact that each pleaded incident in a document containing the charges must be proved to the requisite for it to be adduced, and that is what we require the Honourable Pre-Trial Chamber to consider. I have been asked by the many journalists who literally mobbed me outside this court building whether I have been reporting proceedings, and I tell them, yes, my duty as a lawyer, I have to report to my client. It would be unethical otherwise. And they ask me, what has he to say about the case? Well, I'm going to enlighten you all a bit. For the best part of a year, we have been litigating the issue of jurisdiction and fitness. Your Honours have delivered your rulings. However, even though you found him capable of standing trial, I permit myself to tell you just a little bit about what really goes on in prison. I permit myself first to tell you about his reaction to the demand of the prosecution and the victims that he appear. I won't hide the fact that I thought it best for him to appear, not out of a need of the prosecutor, victims who desperately want they can wave their collected finger at him despite the presumption of innocence. I did not want to disappoint his many supporters. That was my reasoning. Those mini Duterte clones, as Mr. Butuyan derisively calls them, who have been deprived of seeing their former and beloved president for more than a year. I told him that Your Honours could have rejected his request to waive the right of attendance, be specially fitted for him so that he would not have to suffer the humiliation of being put into an out-of-size blue suit. Now the ICC website, but he took his decision, and as his counsel, I was obliged to respect it. And the day before yesterday, when Your Honours gave us a break, I went to that prison and I sat with him for an hour. I tried to engage him concerning the evidence, and he lost the desire to follow me. I offered to show him excerpts of the confirmation proceedings, a few minutes of the deputy prosecutor, a few moments of Ms. Massiter, and hoping that it might excite him a bit more, some of my own opening statement. He shook his head firmly. I implored him. I said, "Sir, look at what they're doing for you. Their utmost to get you out of here." But once again, he politely declined. And I asked him why. I said to him, "Sir, don't you understand? You are murder. Say you murdered thousands when you were the mayor and when you were ruling your country." And then he repeated the question that he has always asked me for a year. How that I did this? I thought until Monday that it was, but then your prosecutor the other day throw them all out. They're not necessary for the confirmation. He claims that he still has enough evidence to convict you. Without, and the former president repeated the question, "But how? I've never murdered anyone." And they talk about thousands. And then I tried to explain to him indirect co-perpetration. And then his eyes simply glazed over. And who can blame him? As I mentioned, it is the only highly by the prosecution can artificially connect him to criminal activity not of his own doing. I then tell him that the people who are incriminating him are self-confessed murderers cooperating with the prosecution, whose names we can't mention in public. I tell him that in return for their dubious services and their expressions of so-called remorse, as the prosecutor puts it, they will not face trial at the ICC, probably nowhere in the world, and will be rehoused with new identities. Mr. Duterte, the ex-prosecutor, like me, on not one, he is supposed to be presumed innocent. I tell him the names. He is the only person who is entitled to know. He tells me that he has not heard of any of them, apart from two, who he vaguely recalls from his days as mayor. Concerning one, his comment is liar. He looked at me solemnly and said, "Mr. Kaufman, Nick, I have done my duty and I have left my legacy. Go to court and do your job. But I can no longer help you. I no longer remember much at all, and I can't comment on people who I do not know mean nothing to me." And pronounced as follows: "I was a faithful servant of the people, and that is how I wish to be remembered. I have now accepted my fate, and I realize that I could die in prison." And on that somber note, my team and I realized that there was no point in continuing. So we tried to humor him. We told him that next month, and we reminded him of the many people who visit Duterte Street and Duterte Park, the renamed locality just outside the ICC detention center, as referred to by the many, many pilgrims who have visited The Hague to feel closeness to his presence, witness his actual person. Him of the mountain of cards and a forest of flowers he received both at the detention and at his birthday. So many cards which were read by his family. He had to provide 2 sacks to take them back to our office. Bring a van to take them away. The flowers that reached the court premises were strategically placed around the building. So appealing and coveted by the staff were avoided. staff was told of their origin. So these fled until the smell forced them to be thrown away. We showed him some of his family. We showed him photographs of his youngest daughter, Veronica. Writes to him every day. His face starts to light up. We showed him pictures of events in the Philippines with Sebastian Basti and Paulo Pulong. He laughed and told us what he remembers of their days as young men in Davao. We showed him pictures of Inday Sara greeting the enthusiastic crowds of people in the Philippines. And then finally, Duterte to the victims. Your Honours, I beg you to be guided by the evidence, which must reach a minimum level of integrity, sense of justice, and by your own collective years of experience. But most importantly, be guided by coherent evidence. I ask you, I beg you not to confirm any of the charges. To let Rodrigo return to the Philippines of his days, humble dwelling in Davao. And with that, Your Honours, I conclude, and I wish to thank you for your patience. And Dov Jacobs, Dezev David, Nicholas Russo, and Kaylin Chen, all of whom have worked throughout the last year for one cause alone, and that is to serve our client, Mr. Rodrigo Duterte, faithfully.
Judge Motok, Mr. Kaufman, the chamber, my colleagues and myself, duty to recall certain issues. First of all, the actions that you have now already the defense and the chamber had taken a decision rejecting the I should say because the defense has access redacted information not available to the public. The health and capacity of the suspect, as you have clarified, this issue was already addressed by the chamber and must not make submissions on that point. Now, it is not appropriate in the public domain. Thank you. And with that, we come to the end of the confirmation of charges hearings. I thank the parties. To the floor, Mr. Prosecutor.
Yes, whenever is convenient for you, Your Honor. Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. I don't want to stand up and object to my friend, but ask that you strike and not take any account, any word. None of that was responsive is what these last 30 minutes were about. Made that clear on pages 24 and 25 of the transcript.
Thank you, Mr. Prosecutor. You want the floor again, Mr. Kaufman?
Madam President, but I do believe that the defense has the right to respond.
Wait.
Yes, says Judge Moto.
And I say to Mr. Germany, it was pure an explanation not coming to the hearing. He has the maximum respect, obviously, for your honours, but he has his arguments, which we shan't repeat here once again. They were all set out in the waiver. That was not testimony, I assure you, Mr.
Merci.
Judge Moto, thank you very much. Now the bench will withdraw to deliberate, and we will render a decision, the confirmation of hearings within 60 days in accordance with instruments, the provision. We will come back to this court for a hearing on Mr. Court is suspended.
At yun na nga po ang nangyaring confirmation of charges hearing dahil dito ano mangyayari dito? Ano dito? Andiyan ka ba? Mido? Ay, nawala na po si Mido. At yan na po ang naging kabuuan ng confirmation of charges hearing kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte sa ICC. Hanggang ngayon, we are still contacting Mido for this. And yun nangyaring last hearing for anong masasabi ng Mido? Ano masasabi ng Mido for what happened on that situation na merong
What
si
is
Athena?
going on? The confirmation of charges hearing just ended. Mukhang hindi na ipapalabas ang hearing on the detention, whether he stays or he goes. So I think that will end it for the ICC dyan sa The Hague. Anima, thank you very much for LTG pala. Thank you very much for saving the coverage. Ayan. Yes, it is concluded, and parang I am surprised by that striking of the prosecution na hindi na-i-omit yung mga statements na sinabi ni Nicholas Kaufman sa kanyang closing statement. Athena, since you are here, would you be kind as to open your microphone? Or Gio even. Yeah, Gio is here. Thank you very much. Would you be kind as to help us break down kung ano mga nangyari kanina dyan sa The Hague?
May important lakad daw si Athena as of this moment. So, sadly.
Sa punto pong ito ay pinutol na po ng ICC ang stream na ang heaving on the review of detention dahil
naglalag ka ulit na Mido.
Okay. Sige lang. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. I believe
wala na ba tayo masasabi?
Gio is here. If Gio is available, we could help out kasi may clip lang daw si Anima. He will be quick. He will be back in a minute.
Ayan. Gio, are you available for for the feed? Ayan. Mido, okay na yung feed mo? I'm just here to wait. Ayan. Sabi daw ni Gio, hindi din siya available. Mido, closing spiel na ba tayo? Okay. Sige, closing spiel dahil parang mamaya na daw muna. Never mind. Wala, wait lang. Ayan, Gio is fixing some things. So 10:20 daw ang so eto na lang kaya
10:20
10:20
ang what?
Hindi, 10:20 daw siya
simulan
mag-show.
ng program niya. Low.
Ayan.
Okay. Okay. One last okay before we
I think
end the
okay.
stream.
Yeah, I think we need to end the stream na talaga kasi magre-restart yung POC.
May sinabi kasi kanina na it didn't develop si Judge. Oh. Wait, ICC is
Wait, ICC is back?
ICC is back.
Nagbalik po ba? What? Nagbalik?
What?
Bumalik daw eh.
Going to happen?
I-check nyo.
Okay, I will double check.
Can we pull up?
But what?
Wait. I'm double checking. No, hindi siya live.
Hindi siya live. Pero, what the heck?
Hanggang third session lang po tayo. So, tapos na po ang ating session.
ICC is
wala
back
po
and this is for the detention hearing.
Detention hearing naman.
This is for the detention hearing. Yes, I will.
I will double check.
Double check lang
Hindi siya live?
Hindi live.
Hindi live, okay.
Talagang final na.
Tapos na talaga. Totoo na.
Sa totoo na.
I think Mido final words na tayo dahil magre-restart daw ang
Final
TOC.
words na lang. Anima, any final words on the whole confirmation of charges hearing?
Okay. The confirmation of charges. I can't believe Kaufman took the words out of my mouth in that case. Pero ang ginawa niya, of course, as usual, he twisted the narrative and blamed it on the media, he blamed it on the journalists, he blamed it on the war and drug victims for fighting back. and he believed that Duterte was just doing his job in that case. Overall, to be honest, I don't think it's enough to defend Duterte. And in the end, he honestly got rebutted last second by one of the ICC's prosecutions. So overall, I think I'm expecting Duterte to be convicted 60 days from now.
Lilinawin lang po natin na
Ayan.
tawag dito na
Yes,
hindi pa
Athena, you have the floor.
didesisyonan kung mako-convict siya or hindi. Ang dedesisyonan within 60 days ay kung ipagpapatuloy ang trial or wait, nawala ako.
Or if he's gonna walk free. If he's gonna walk free.
Bale, as I explained in the previous lives, ayun, dun didesisyonan pa lang kung magpo-presidente trial or madidismiss yung kaso. Yun pa lang. Siguro, pangwakas na lang muna siguro na tawag dito, na mga sa pagwawakas ng confirmation of charges na ito, hindi lamang ito larawan, hindi lamang ito salamin ng napaka-importanteng proseso sa pagkamit ng hustisya. Ito ay salamin na kailangan natin na magkaroon ng kamulatan at kamalayan na mapanagot ang kung sino man nagpaplano na baliin o bulagin ng hustisya sa kanyang bansa. Inihalal natin ang ating mga leader upang protektahan tayo at hindi magkaroon ng polisiyang maaaring magresulta ng ating kamatayan. Kung ano man ang ating kulay, maging pula man, maging dilaw o maging kung ano man, mahalaga na sana sa pagtatapos ng pagdinig na ito ay makita natin kung gaano ka-importante ang hustisya, at ang pagiging makatao. At the end of the day, hindi naman tayo aabot dito kung masabi natin na naprotektahan niya ang karapatan natin na mamuhay ng walang takot at mamuhay ng masasabi nating ligtas. Kasi kung iisipin, maaaring totoo ang banta ng droga sa ating lipunan. Ngunit hindi ito rason upang magkaroon ng pulisiya na pupulupot at magpapadilim sa ating bayan. Ngayon, kung ano man ang magiging kahantungan ng paglilitis o ng pagdinig na ito, bagamat alam ko na may mga sabihin na nating automatically hostile na dun sa sitwasyon, ay sana kahit pa paano maging makataot tayo sa mga biktima. Maging makatao tayo sa ngalan ng hustisya. Walang bayad at walang makapapantay sa respetong ibibigay ninyo sa mga taong naging biktima ng sistemang pumulupot sa bayang ito. Yun lamang.
Ayan, well said. Well said, Athena. Currently, Mido is still wrapping up. So, mag-e-end spill na ba tayo? Kung ano, ako na lang mag-e-end spill siguro.
Ikaw na ba?
Kung hindi pa maano si Mido. Currently,
Am I heard?
wala pa.
Ayan. Yes.
You heard.
Audible ka.
Ayun. Maraming salamat. Ito, syempre, hindi lang naman tayo nagsasalita bilang mga anchor or analyst or kahit sino, nagsasalita tayo bilang Pilipino na may puso para sa kapwa niya, may respeto para sa mga sa rule of law. But we have to remember that for history to be not repeated, we have to learn from the lessons that we have seen in all of what has happened, what has transpired during the war on drugs. And we've heard stories, we've heard counts from not just the victims. We've also heard throughout these proceedings, we've heard stories from different people, different walks of life. We've heard from Rafi Lerma, who photographed the now iconic Pieta image that had a woman with a man in his arms, which is her son. Parang naghihinagpis. May nabidig tayo mula sa iba't ibang industriya. May mga narinig tayo mula sa mga tao, sa mga ordinaryong tao na hindi man sila naapektuhan ng direkta noong kasagsagan ng kampanya laban sa illegal na droga, ay naapektuhan naman sila sa mga pinapanood nila. And it is time to cleanse ourselves, to reflect on what this horrendous event has done to us as a country. We were robbed of our morality. We were robbed of our empathy for people who have died. And it's not just normal death. Hindi siya heart attack. Hindi siya natural causes. It's by death of the due process. They were never tried. They were never they were never given the chance to be tried in open court, to be proven to be innocent. Sound check. To be innocent until proven guilty.
If you hear me,
Yeah. Okay na.
Ayan, okay na. Sana po ay maririnig nyo sa salita ng bawat isa, mga prosecution. And it's time to reflect on what we have done as a nation, to be robbed of our empathy because of blind following a strong man. Ang sakit, hindi we perceive in the international community as a hypocritical nation. And I hope na itong mga proceedings na ito ay makapag-isip ng maayos mga Pilipino to be placing morality first over a man who kills and a man who human rights. At dyan nagtatapos ang special coverage ng confirmation of charges hearing ni dating
Sa ngalan ng lahat ng bumubuo ng Cool FM, sa ngalan ng mga host ni Bido, ni Gio at ng buong pwersa ng Cool News, maraming salamat po sa pagtutok ninyo sa amin, manatiling nakatutok sa Cool FM at Cool News para sa pinakahuling balita tungkol sa paglilitis kay dating Pangulong Rodrigo Duterte. Maraming salamat po at magandang gabi, Pilipinas.